he's appeared back in the media, so are the signs clear that Rafa is back in the job hunt? Now, we wonder about this because maybe the timing is significant. After spells with Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle and, yes, Everton, where does he actually land next? Is he still of value for any Premier League club? Before you come in on that, Danny, this was Rafa speaking to Football Daily.
You have to analyse the context. At the time that they came with the offer, I knew, and you say, okay, you were at Liverpool and then it would be a problem, but I have a lot of friends that they are Blues. They knew that I will give everything trying to do my best and to improve things. So I knew that it could be more or less difficult, but because I was red, maybe I couldn't make some decisions that it was very clear for us from the beginning. I had a meeting with a head of one of the departments at the beginning, and then I was asking him, do you think that everything is fine? He said, yeah, everything is perfect. 600 million spent cannot be perfect, no? It's something, when the owners are not happy and the fans are not happy, it cannot be perfect. So I realized that you have to change things inside, but I couldn't do it straight away because I was red and could be seen like, oh, you know, he's coming to change our club. So that is the only thing. In another club, I will make these decisions, and I did it in the past because it's very clear that that is the way to improve. But there in Everton, I couldn't do it.
So there we are, Rafa talking about the adventure that was Everton. I remember Farhad Mashiri saying to us in this show, Danny, it'll be fine. Rafa's in love with the city of Liverpool, not Liverpool Football Club itself, the city of Liverpool. Well, it wasn't fine. And the Evertonians made the feelings clear, didn't they?
Yeah, in theory it looked okay at the beginning, didn't it, because of his CV, if you like, but in practice it was never going to work unless they won every game. It's as simple as that. They started off okay and everything was fine. It does sound a little bit like sour grapes to me when you're talking about not making decisions at the beginning because of your Liverpool past. I mean, he's stronger than that. He's better than that. If he thought a decision needed making, he'd have taken it. He's shown that many times before. So that's a strange one.
No truth in that, you think, then?
Well, look,
because I was a red, I couldn't make some decisions.
No, I don't see the logic in that. What you've got to ask yourself is why he took the job in the first place. Well, my answer is quite a simple one, and the truth be told, he would never admit it, but it's financial reward. He took the job knowing that even if it went wrong, he'd get a huge payout and he was out the door. It's really not that difficult to get to the bottom of what happened.
Is it as simple as that, Simon?
Probably, to some extent. I don't think that's the only reason. I think ultimately...
No, he would have felt that there was a footballing project might have been able to succeed at.
He's not going to the poorhouse, is he? He's not going to be in any food banks anytime soon. He'd already made that decision to go and manage in China, which was not, to my mind, a football decision. I think he wanted to come back to the Premier League. He saw an opportunity.
Yeah.
Everton, nobody in their right mind, it doesn't tend to work. You take a manager out of one club that's got huge rivalry with another and put him into that club and expect him to be successful. It's one of those where if you think it's a good idea, you should sleep on it. And if you wake up in the morning and you still think it's a good idea, you should go back to bed. Because ultimately these sort of things don't tend to work out. And Benitez, for me, I've always had this issue with Benitez, not with his football acumen, because clearly he's a top-level coach. I think that he's a nightmare to work with because I think he backchannels owners. I think he's dissentful. And there's one thing, managers pushing the envelope, because they absolutely should. It's not an autocracy. Managers should be able to push their owners, make them work hard, have a very robust relationship with them. And when the line is drawn, a manager should then learn where the respect is and not take it into the public domain. And whilst Newcastle fans will say he had no choice, he knew what he was doing with Ashley. He knew how to play that particular game, and he played it and built himself into a hero at Newcastle, which he most certainly was not. He did a job at Newcastle which was based upon them having a very decent squad going into the Championship, and back up they came, and so they should. But the brand of football that they played was pedestrian on the eyes and not particularly expansive and enjoyable for anybody to watch. But he got some legendary status because he constantly cocked a snook at Mike Ashley. And I don't respect that from a football manager. He goes to China, makes a football decision. No, not a football decision, a financial decision. And back he comes to Everton. Rafa Benitez puts his headline statement out there about every reason why it wasn't my fault. Your team stank. They were awful at times, Everton, and you must have known, and this is where Danny's point probably comes into play, you must have known this was a poisoned chalice, because you would have gone with, the moment you lost the game, you saw the reaction when you got the job, there was going to be this blowback.
Yeah, so why is he trotting this out now?
Because he wants a job. and he wants to be back in the Premier
Is
League.
it any coincidence that Brendan's under pressure
it's probably
at Leicester?
two. Can you imagine the pleasure? Can you imagine if Bournemouth took him on, the pleasure they'd have there, having just seen Scott Parker be a deceitful manager? Can you imagine Leicester with their change of direction economically, what they might encounter with Rafa Benitez? And you wonder if those guys in those boardrooms have got their heads screwed on to look at Benitez, not just the football tactician, but the bundle of trouble that comes with it. But he's back in focus because he wants to be back in English football.
So, Danny, is he still a value for a Premier League club? That's the bottom line.
No, do you know what? I don't think so. I mean, he's been a terrific manager. He's had a great career, but I do think football is evolving in a different way to the way he wants to play. And I think if you look at the two teams you've mentioned, Leicester and Bournemouth, they are both teams that try to play the right way. And if they become more pragmatic, I don't think the fans are going to be on board with that. It's not thinking outside the box, is it? It's not creating a new chapter by bringing someone like Rafa in, because he's been around the block many times. I think there's a lot of clubs now. You look at Brighton; they're thinking outside the box with their appointments, as they did when they gave it Potter. Actually,
So you don't think he lands here again in the Premier League?
I don't think so. No.
Do you think there's a place for him, Simon? We mentioned Leicester.
There's a seat for every backside, and people have a tendency in football to forget what other people's lessons have learnt them and not watch them. Can you see him, Dan? Did you play for him?
Yeah.
Can you see him? Can you see him? Well, obviously he had sense if it was brief. Can you see him managing in the Championship?
No.
No, neither can I. Neither can I. Not if Newcastle. If he was going to a club that got relegated with the resources that Newcastle have in terms of 52,000 fans and a decent squad to go back up with, possibly. But I can't see him landing in a Championship with a Championship side trying to get them out.
He's an intelligent enough guy. Look, the fact is he doesn't have to work for money anymore. So I think with the China, with the Everton job, he's made a fortune. I think from a footballing perspective, he'll need something where he feels like it can work. Otherwise, why come in? Because he'll fail.
Yeah. Well, Leicester won the last one. He's 62.
Leicester haven't got any money, apparently. Bournemouth are going to go down, probably.
Leicester will soon find some money if they're in the bottom three in January. Don't
Yeah,
worry about that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? What I'm talking about is Rafa's desire to get back in probably will only be matched, or will only be met, if it's a club who can give him a chance.
Yes, yeah. Let's put it out there, actually, before we go any further. Is Rafa Benitez, who now seems to be singing like a canary, he's happy to be speaking again, he appears back in the media, so you think, why now? Is he still of value for a Premier League club? What are you thinking that? 03717 223344. And if he is, which club? 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.